All right. Well, thank you very much. And I'm relieved to know that both Murph and Lia could make time to chat with me today. I'm coming to you from the Tough as Nails headquarters, where one of the Tough as Nails belts lives. We have only handed out a few of these Tough as Nails belts, and two of those belts have gone to two very tough Marines, two winners of our Tough as Nails competition, namely Murph. That beard's getting stronger and stronger, Murph. And he's, of course, from season 1, and Lia from season 3. Now, these are two very special human beings to me. And part of the reason that they are so special, and I believe part of the reason that they were winners on Tough as Nails, is because of their amazing experience in the Marines, the real life experience. We've had very few people that have rated 10 out of 10 with life skills, but both Murph and Lia rated that way. So in addition to their strength and endurance, what really, I think, set them apart as competitors were their life skills. So on a very special day, when we're celebrating a very special birthday for the Marines, I am very pleased to welcome both Lia and Murph to our little chat here in the Tough as Nails headquarters. Good to see you guys.
Great to see you, Phil.
Good to see you again.
Can you tell me the first time that you guys connected as both Marines and then also as both Tough as Nails champions, like when that happened? Do you remember?
Absolutely.
Time I met Lia was when I came down the hill for the season 3 premiere. I got to meet Lia. I watched her, like, that strong first place finish she had. Then I watched her through all the episodes, and then crowned the champion. We connected right after the show, and we've worked on a few things since. It was great to see the former win the title.
Yes, let's just set up the fact that we invited you back, Murph, at the beginning of season 3 on Red Beach at Camp Pendleton, where you spent 22 years. And I want to thank all the men and women who made it possible for us to shoot there at Red Beach. And yes, Lia and the other contestants on season 3 rolled up down they came down the beach, lined up in front of me on the beach there for a Marine challenge. We had an airdrop, and then Murph, with a very I want to say almost like a gladiator, arrived in a military vehicle. And Lia, you remember the first time you saw Murph getting out of that vehicle and lining up to greet you guys?
Yeah, it was a pretty awesome day to be on a Marine Corps base at Camp Pendleton and surrounded by Marines and seeing Murph. It felt like coming home to, family. Absolutely.
And Lia, tell us where you spent your time training. I mentioned that Murph was at Camp Pendleton for 22 years. What about you?
I spent most of my time at Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. Spent some time out at 29 Palms, California, and then shipped me to Fort Gordon, Augusta, Georgia, through an Army post for a little bit. And then I spent the last 3 years of my active duty on Camp Lejeune.
Tell me, guys, about the skill sets that you both have, that you both got a lot of from the military. Tell us about those skills and how that helped you in Tough as Nails, like how you were able to parlay those skills into what we call the Tough as Nails challenge.
Well, I think, those that are fans of the show know it's about the trades, the blue collar trades. And in the military, we make a joke and say we're a bunch of green collar workers. So a lot of the same skill sets that are out there in the trades are the same trades that are in the military. We're just in a different uniform. So a lot of the skills translated over, the basic mechanic skills, a lot of the endurance skills or the endurance ability. So pretty much everything in the military that requires like a blue collar touch. I mean, I think a military veteran does really well on the show because of that. Because in your career, you just don't do one thing. you do a lot of different things. You're multifaceted. And that definitely comes into play in the show because you have to be well-rounded on Tough as Nails. Because as people know from season 1, I always use Michelle as an example. Michelle was so well versed in all the life skills that she didn't need the physical power to go far. Her being well-rounded in skills is what gave her the ability to be like one of the fiercest competitors for season 1.
Lia?
I'd say the military as a whole, and specifically the Marine Corps, teaches you right off the bat to be adaptable and to use whatever skills you have and apply them to the situation. And additionally, specifically, the Marine Corps teaches you to work under pressure and in very challenging environments. So I think both of those transitioned well onto Tough as Nails because you never knew what was going to get thrown at you. You had to think quickly on your feet and just reach into your toolkit, as we say, and apply that to the situation right away. And another thing it did, the military and the Marine Corps teaches you confidence, that you can tackle just about anything with nothing and get it done. So that was helpful. And then it also teaches you how to work as a team. So much from the Marine Corps and the military was very applicable to Tough as Nails.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, sorry, go ahead, Lia.
Oh, I was just going to say it's definitely a key to success.
Yeah, I saw that in both of you, strong individual competitors, but then fiercely loyal to your team, with a sort of leave nobody behind mentality, pick up your team, try to be that arrowhead as a team, laser focused. And Murph, I'm gonna say, the first thing I thought when I saw Lia's list of skills was, Michelle, from season 1, and you're absolutely right. But I did ask Lia to write down sort of all the different things she'd done, and it really got kind of ridiculous. Like, I think at one point, Lia, you were selling vacuum cleaners at one point or something, and I know that you've been a llama farmer, and I mean, there are some things on your list that are a little off the charts, I would say.
It's fun to try new things.
Yeah. We had Lia, we heard from Lia Murph that she was building Tough as Nails challenges in her backyard. And then a few contestants from previous seasons were going over to try some of these challenges. Didn't Freight Train pay a visit to you at one point, Lia?
Yes, Freight Train was kind enough to stop by and help with clearing some of our the woods. So it was a good day, a lot of fun.
So how do your skills outside of competing on Tough as Nails, but like coming from the military, where there's tremendous discipline, obviously, and there's a hierarchy in terms of like who's calling out the orders and who's following the orders, and how do you go from that very rigid discipline system to, say, the civilian world, where sometimes discipline goes a little array, we would say. Maybe people are not necessarily as good at following orders because maybe they don't have to as much. What is that transition like for you guys, where things are going to be done a certain way in the military, but then in the real world, sometimes not always the way you maybe want them to?
Yeah, it was definitely a change. I went straight from the Marine Corps to an all civilian organization. So the work ethic, not with everybody, because there were some veterans in the organization. The work ethic wasn't always there with some of the younger kids. But also what I did see was I saw the veterans actually starting to mentor and talk to those kids about, hey, these are the things that you need to do in life to be successful. Showing up to work on time, working hard, not goofing off. So I just saw a lot of the veterans take those young minds and just start mentoring them. So it was a rough at first, because I was like, you're like 20 minutes late. Oh, it's no big deal. No big deal. Like, so it was a surprise for me to hear that wasn't important to them to be to work on time. Not so just talking to those young kids or those younger co-workers about the importance of doing the right thing, taking your responsibility serious. So it was a shock, but like I said, I did see a lot of veterans start to mentor and mold their fellow co-workers to try to make the workplace better.
What about you, Lia?
I'd say I agree with Murph. It's sometimes you want to think that if you're successful in the military, you're going to be successful at everything else, and sometimes it doesn't work out that way. And it's a mental struggle for a lot of veterans coming from the military into the civilian world, and it's a bit of a fight. So you have to find folks to support you and help you get through that and kind of adjust what you know and what you're familiar with to your new environment. So sometimes it takes a while, and you have to persevere and stick with it to make it be successful, and be ready to, have a couple, I don't want to call them failures, but some challenges aren't going to work out as good as you'd like them to, and to just push through that and get to the next one, because you'll find the one niche or where you fit in. Sometimes it just takes time.
Yeah, one of the things that I would imagine is difficult is the tone that maybe you use in the military, where you're giving instructions or you're giving an order and it's very direct, and there's no how should we say, flowery language around what you want to get done and how you want it done. And then you come into the civilian world, and there's maybe a few more sensitivities today than maybe you find with the directness of, and again, I have not been in the military, so I don't know, but I'm imagining that you have to kind of be very aware of how you talk to people outside.
Yeah, I think the Marine Corps is really good about teaching Marines how to be very professional, using professional language. And now the profanity, does it happen? Absolutely. My friend once told me he never cursed. And one day I walked in, he's counseling a Marine. He's using all kinds of profanity. And I was shocked. He's like, look, Murph, it's like a tool in the toolbox. That kid would only respond to certain type of language. So I used it as a tool. I'm like, oh, that's a good learning experience for me. So know how to use your tools, your communication tools. So, but yeah, when you do transition to this civilian community, it depends upon, the what kind of job you're going to. I work for a home improvement company, and profanity was definitely not allowed. So, but then you just learn, okay, I've taught professionally in the military. I'm just going to continue that here. Then my current job that I'm at now, I'm around Air Force veterans. So the language is a little bit more loose. So I think just like in the military, you're adaptive to the situation that you're in.
Yeah. Lia, you must find that too, right? You have to be almost like a chameleon, right? Like wherever you are, the people that you're with, you kind of, I guess the word would be code switch, right? You switch codes. You go, okay, I'm with a different group. You study how people are communicating, and then you try to find the best and most effective way of being a leader in a unique and different situation, right? I mean, that's part of what I'm sure you're trained to do in the military.
Yeah, absolutely, Phil. I mean, well, it's just like you when you're producing a show. I'm sure you come in contact with so many different people from different cultures and different backgrounds, and you have to find or figure out what approach makes sense to them so you can connect. And that's in the military and on the civilian side, it's all about connecting with who you're working with. So definitely.
So young people, Murph, Lia, some are looking for direction. They're looking for a way forward. Maybe they're not sure what they want to do with their careers. Maybe there's pressure at home from parents, expectations about what the parents want them to do. If a young person is maybe looking for direction and you had a moment to talk to them, what would you say about why thinking about doing some basic training and maybe looking at the Marine Corps as a career option might be good for them? What, particularly I'm talking about like kids that are maybe out of high school and they just don't know where to turn. They don't know where to go. What would you say to them if you had a moment with them?
Well, because of the show, Phil, I've done a lot of public speaking to high school students, and that's one of the topics that is brought up. So what I tell them is, what you need to do is talk to the recruiter from every branch, find out what the pros and cons are for that branch of service. Sit down, talk to your family, talk to other veterans that may be in your family about what the options are. But what I tell them is, for 4 or 5 years, depending upon the length of the contract, you're going to learn a skill. You're going to learn discipline. You're going to have more direction in your life. So when you do, if you decide to get out after the 4 or 5 years, you have educational benefits. You have a good skill that you can translate into, or maybe you can even use another skill. You can use your GI Bill and go to a trade school. If college isn't for you, go to a good trade school. The GI Bill covers that as well. But I think just giving somebody direction on where they're not sure they want to go, I think the military is a good option. And that's one of the things I talk to the seniors and the juniors about when I do these talks.
That's good advice. Yeah, really good. Lia, any thoughts on that?
I'd have to say my thoughts are exactly what Murph said. I mean, going into the military at a young age gives a person who's not sure what they want to do, it gives them a cushion. You've got pay, you've got a roof over your head, you've got food automatically, you get a skill, and in some of the military branches, you'll get more than one skill. And you can, like Murph said, talk to different recruiters and different people in the military, because each branch has its own kind of personality, and you might be more suited to the Air Force than to the Marine Corps or the Navy, to the Army and Coast Guard. There's just so many options, and then you can dial it into a job you're interested in. You can go to college while you're in the military. You can go to college using your GI Bill afterwards. You'll get to travel. You'll meet a lot of people, learn to network. I mean, there's just so many positive aspects to going into the military, and some contracts I think are as short as 3 to 4 years. So it's only temporary. If it doesn't work out, at least you tried it, and that's not for you, but you have a lot of exposure to different jobs and different people to know what direction you want to take. So it's just a great way to start out, debt free. You can save some money, like I said, travel, meet some great people, and I can't say anything negative about trying the military. Absolutely not.
And one of the Leah's mentioned earlier in a previous question was self-confidence. I mean, I wasn't a very confident young man when I graduated high school, but when you graduate boot camp and you're called a Marine for the first time, I'll never forget that moment when you step back, "Aye, sir," about face, and you're like, "I'm a United States Marine now." Just the confidence that you gain through any of the branches by graduating recruit training is huge. And a lot of young kids, that's what they need, is just some type of self-confidence. And I think the military definitely can give that to you.
Well, I'll tell you what, Tough as Nails wouldn't be what it is without competitors like yourselves. And we've benefited hugely from being able to dip into the pool of servicemen and women in this country to be able to compete on the show. We've seen some fantastic competitors, and the fact that you're both Marines and that we've done 5 seasons now, and you are winners of your respective seasons, I think says a tremendous amount about what you brought to the table when you came in. And the show, like I said, just wouldn't be the same without you guys. So not only thank you for being on Tough as Nails and leading by example, but also thank you for being Marines. Thank you for signing up and doing what you did. It means a lot, and especially on a day like today, for us to be able to have a chat like we are, and to recognize all men and women across the world who are part of an elite group like yourselves. Yeah, thank you for taking the time to do that.
Absolutely. Thanks for just having us today, Phil.
Absolutely, Phil. Thank you. Semper Fi.